Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mary Ferreri, and this is going to be kind of the intro to a series we're working on of Lunch and Learns, really just to be here for the community, let you know what we've learned through the process of running Recovery High School, but also being involved in the community and the recovery community. So, want to introduce myself. My name is Mary Ferreri, and I'm the Executive Director of Emerald School of Excellence, which is a recovery high school here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Our mission is to provide a quality education in a recovery-friendly environment to youth in recovery from substance use disorders and co-occurring disorders. And so we wanted to have this purpose. The whole purpose of these Lunch and Learns is really to let the community know, like, we're here, you're not alone, and how difficult it is to navigate recovery supports for adolescents. And we recognize that and want to help you just based on our experiences, what we've seen as potentially helpful for you and your family. Really talking based on experiences, not affiliated with any particular programs that we may mention throughout this kind of brief 30 minutes or so that I share some details of what we know. So at any point, obviously, we're going to be sharing this video, so feel free to reach out and ask questions along the way as you may be navigating through different parts of what I'm about to talk about. So the need clearly is great, I'd say, because of COVID for sure. We're even hearing more and more about how many families are struggling and what this can actually do to a family system that's been affected by addiction and mental health. So it's more important now, I think, than ever before to really talk about not just addiction and what you can do, but even more specifically for young people, where school has been, who knows, for the fall, very uncertain times that can cause a lot of anxiety and stress in addition to what may already be a struggling point. So want to make sure that you all know we're doing this because we feel that urgency, have for a long time, but we got to talk about it now and let the community know not only was ESE created to be a recovery high school for the students and families enrolled in the school, but want you to know that we're a community resource to share everything that we're learning and everything that we know to be true with the family and being transparent as possible with the community, because even if we're not the right fit for you in that moment of time, we might be down the road. And even if we're not, we want to be able to support any family that has a young person struggling. So I wanted to be able to take some time to help you navigate through just adolescent supports, because that can be really challenging. It can be just incredibly difficult, if not feeling impossible, when you're in the middle of crisis and you're unsure what you should do next, how severe it really could be. And I promise you, I'm no expert in terms of, our recovery high school is not a treatment center, but we do work with people, young people in recovery and families. And personally, I've also seen my immediate family go through the struggles of finding the right fit, the right treatment center, the right place for a loved one. So it's really difficult, and I know that firsthand. So want to be able to help at least let families know we'll walk through right beside you through this journey. So I'd say the first thing that's the hardest part is kind of, where do I go for help? How do I even ask for help? I've had families reach out to me super silently saying, please don't tell anybody. I'm really already embarrassed and ashamed with what's happening. And I just have to tell you all, what you share with us is in confidence, of course, but to feel ashamed and embarrassed, I understand it. I'm a parent myself, so I also know kind of how that feels, to feel like you should know all the answers, but don't know where to turn and don't want people to look at you like you're a failure as a parent. And so that's really hard, very difficult. Who do you ask for help? And my recommendations to you are, start in your comfort zone in your network. Call friends and family that you feel comfortable you can share with openly and honestly. I'd lean on your faith communities, your school communities. I'd reach out to your pediatrician and doctors for support. This isn't for everyone, but Al-Anon and Ar-Anon meetings. There's even parents of addicted loved ones. That's another parent support group right around local here in Charlotte. Once you start gaining a connection and a network of other basically peers that understand where you're going, what you're going through, they're really going to be the greatest resources for you in terms of their experiences of treatment centers or therapists and things that may help you. So reach out is the number one first thing you got to do. And that's the hardest part, in my opinion, for a lot of families, is just, where do I go? Who do I ask for help? And also know that after sharing our information at the end of this, myself, Chris, who's also works at the Recovery High School, are here for you. So our information we'll share later on. Of course, if there's an emergency, don't hesitate to call 911. That's sometimes just what needs to be done. And I recommend that you and your loved ones, I recommend this for anyone, regardless, to be first aid and CPR certified. It's just a good thing to do. And Charlotte offers some really great classes through the American Red Cross. So that's where I got mine. So I'd recommend that. It's, half a day, but you do some online stuff and in person, and it's just great skills and tools to have in case of an emergency. You just never know. So after kind of realizing like you need help and asking, gaining some support, hopefully you'll already start getting kind of guided into the right direction. But really then your young person needs an initial assessment. But I want to emphasize that, through my experiences more than ever in the early, I'd say 3 to 4 years ago, did I realize that addiction doesn't just impact the person, it impacts the whole family and their surrounding loved ones, friends. So it is just as important that the young person gets an initial assessment and finds out what the next steps could or should be for that individual, but for the family as well. It is unbelievable what you can learn. Share my quick experience of going to the Blanchard Institute's family workshop. I was going to truly learn how I could help others and just gain knowledge. Let alone did I realize I go to their workshop and find out more about myself and my immediate family than I ever thought was possible, and truly understood how important it is for the entire family system to be educated, understand what addiction does to your brain, and understand what it does to the family system and dynamics. Was so important for me in that moment. It did allow me to help others, but really it's unreal what we can discover about ourselves that could be, that needs some work and support. And that's a great thing. Don't look at that as a negative thing for sure, but understand how hard that can be. But I recommend any of their programs. They offer some great stuff. And I've also been guided that the Dilworth Center has some amazing resources and places to just gain more knowledge around addiction and mental health. So, there are things out there. It is hard to seek help and guidance on this stuff and, get knowledge when you're struggling or in crisis as a family system. But I promise you it's worth it. But ask somebody to go with you, ask a loved one to join you so you're not alone. But typically after, their initial assessment with a young person, you're going to usually have one of 3 things, or sometimes more than that, happen, where they're going to recommend either more support services or a higher level of care, maybe even supports at the place where you get an assessment, may say that, there is no need for higher level of care or support services. And then sometimes they even say, come back as things progress, because right at this moment, but possibly down the road in the near future, you'll need higher level of care. So there's sometimes more options, but those are typically what we hear. And so then there's different paths and avenues for all of those things where, you may not necessarily need the higher level of care, but maybe it's important to seek a therapist and other additional supports and or different meetings, whether it's AA, NA, different recovery meetings and whatnot, or it could be residential inpatient, partial hospitalization, or IOP, and that's really just at the recommendation of the professional. And so take that to heart, but also understand, if you are uncomfortable with different things, if you feel like that's not the right answer, I recommend always, if you feel uncomfortable, going and getting another assessment somewhere else if you really are uncomfortable. One of the hardest things that I've experienced with just treatment in general, let alone for adolescents, is it's not always affordable, to say the very least, to say it nicely. Some treatment centers, it's just not doable with how expensive they are monthly and how their programs are. But I do know a lot of programs they're working so hard to try and take insurance and get on people's plans so that it isn't breaking the bank and making it near impossible to get the support that you need. So I know programs are working hard towards it. There are some that do take insurance, but sometimes you may have to consider going outside of the Carolinas, outside of state, and that's okay too. Can be scary for sure, but doing your research and your homework for sure, and leaning on people that have had experiences at these places is so important. But really, I'd say after, whether your young person goes to a treatment center, residential, inpatient, PHP, or IOP, you have to start thinking again about school. But I encourage you to really, truly, let the process unfold, let the journey unfold, because if you put too much on your young person's plate, that can also not be helpful or healthy. So when it is time, an appropriate time to start thinking about school again, and and I know, well, better than anyone, that recovery and addiction, that doesn't work on the academic calendar. And that can be very difficult, because if someone is returning back from treatment and it's October, you're thinking, well, what am I supposed to do with my child for 2 months before, the next semester, or whatever the case may be. It can be really difficult to find and figure out enrollment and classes. So just going to share quite a bit about Emerald School of Excellence and what we are, and how we could potentially be a part of the journey with you and your family. We started September 3rd of 2019. We've been open for almost a year now, and we serve students age 13 to 21. And really, we started with just a few people that realized there was a gap and a need, and how could we help fill that gap, and found out there were recovery high schools all around the country, but there weren't any in the Carolinas. So one of the most powerful stats I know a lot of folks in the community have just kind of been in awe about is that if a young person comes back from treatment and they return back to their original school, the chance of return to use goes up to 70%. If they come back from treatment and go to a recovery high school, the chances of return to use are only 30%. And we understand and know that not every program is going to work for everybody. But if you can surround yourself around young people who understand you, where you can get vulnerable and honest and be yourself, the peer-to-peer support model is just unbelievable. And so that's really what the foundation is of a recovery high school. There's daily peer-to-peer support. There's a recovery coach on staff at all times. There's individualized instruction. Our class sizes are small, just really so that we can have intentional conversations and one-on-one support when needed. There's family support nonstop. The families at our school at Emerald would tell you, we communicate as much as we possibly can, from weekly reports to individual phone calls, to not just share what there may be a struggle from the week, but we really are intentional and deliberate about calling to celebrate your young person. So if there's something really awesome they did, if they had a phenomenal presentation, we're calling to let the parents know how wonderful their child did on whatever task it was. So we're here to ease kind of that discomfort around a school calling, perhaps in the past, and it being something really bad. We want to make sure that it is a healthy balance, but sometimes I'm giving more phone calls to some families that are good and exciting and around celebrations. So know that that's important to us. We also understand truthfully that there's multiple pathways post-secondary. So we want the students to know that the pace and the path is really up to you. We support what your passion and purpose may be. And really the way we do that is offering a variety of different activities, opportunities, and learning experiences so that the young person really figures out who they are and what they want to do and get excited about that. And that's not always possible in high school. So we really want to make sure that at our school at Emerald, we can offer as much as we can to feed their passion and get them exposed to so many different opportunities that it's not a drag to come to school. It's more of an opportunity and a journey that they're excited about and can have some say in. And I think that's what kind of makes us special, because I'll be open and honest with the students at our school. As much as I think that college and universities are so important for success, I don't think it's the only way to success. And I think that's really hard for people to say out loud. And even being an educator and someone who did graduate from college, personally, I took a year off after high school. And I'll openly and honestly share that with the students and say at the time, as a senior in high school, I was not going to college. I was pretty stuck on the idea that college was not for me. I didn't need it. But I had to discover that for myself and worked full time to realize that I wanted more than what the situation I was currently in. And the only person that can figure that out sometimes is that person. And I encourage us all to respect the process and journey while offering all of the opportunities that are put it out on the table for our kids, not tell them or paint some picture for them that we think is ideal for them. They need to be a part of that. I think anything we've learned more and more by working with teenagers is they need to own it and be a part of their story. If we tell them what's next, their buy-in it's non-existent. So understand how important that is. So just to reiterate, just let's make sure that our young people are a part of their journey. And what's really exciting is we're close with the CRCs in North Carolina, the collegiate recovery communities and programs. It's such an important thing that we not just wrap our young people around recovery supports while they're teenagers and in high school, but also when they decide to go to a college or university. And fortunately, North Carolina has a great number of collegiate recovery communities that we can lean on and introduce them to even before they decide to go to that school. So very important. And just again, many different options that we can support at Emerald, whether it's college and career ready or it's a trade school or a community college. And then later on, we want to make sure we're staying close with our families even after they graduate. So wanted to take an opportunity to kind of go through some of the FAQs, frequently asked questions of pretty much Emerald School. And so I'm just going to kind of let you know also you can navigate along with me, or you can check out our website at your convenience. It's emeraldschool.org, and you can kind of see admissions process and all of that kind of stuff. But Emerald School is a private school. A lot of people ask, are you public, charter, or private? We're a private school, but we offer scholarships. We do have tuition. It's $1,000 a month. But again, we offer scholarships. So don't let money be a barrier when thinking about Emerald School. We want to make sure that, we continue for sure to support the student and keep those class sizes small. So we will maintain a 1 to 10 teacher to student ratio. And fortunately, we have the space to do that still up to about 30 kids in our current space. And then there's right beside us, there's another hallway that we can kind of grow into that would easily accommodate another 30 kids or so. So we have plenty of room to grow, and we're excited about that. We do not provide transportation, but our current location is in the second floor of the educational wing at Memorial United Methodist Church, which is on Central and Eastway. And it's a wonderful location. There's a bus stop that's right in front of the church. So if transportation is difficult based on work times or just based on, in general, lack of transportation, we can help with the public transportation. And fortunately, with the bus stop being right there, we can help navigate getting to our school. Hours of operation, so we are an 8:15 to 2:15. The morning is typically with your core classes. Afternoon, we explore electives. Exercise is important to us, and we often have monthly community service projects. So giving back and serving others is a big part of our school as well. We have truly received our funding. People ask that a lot. How are you able to continue operating? Our funding has been through literally the Charlotte community, the Carolina community, private donations, and partnerships. We are linked super close with Promise Resource Network, which is also a peer-run, peer-led organization, and they are absolutely unbelievable. Through education, amazing programming, peer-to-peer support, we just align. And so super grateful to be able to partner with them and allow us to continue to grow. And with that note, Emerald is remaining with in-person instruction Monday through Friday for our normal calendar year for the 2020-2021 school year. And again, open for enrollment year round. So it doesn't matter if it's September 13th or November 2nd. It doesn't matter. Please come and check us out. Call us and we do an interview process. It's not just I want to go to Emerald, so I get to go to Emerald. We need to be the right fit for each other. It is important that we get to know the student and the family. They get to know us, ask questions both ways, get to know what's going on, and if we really truly can support the young person. Because if we can't, we'll be truly honest and say we aren't the right fit for each other. But if we feel that we can, then we will continue on with the enrollment process, which includes for sure random and frequent drug screening happens at Emerald and upon enrollment. Let's see. Biggest thing I'd say in terms of referring and getting students to come to Emerald, it's been word of mouth. If you just share with other folks that there's an actual recovery high school in Charlotte, that's the biggest way that families find out about us. You can check out our website. We are on social media, but truthfully, it's families sharing with other families their experiences. If you're interested to speak to a current parent, many of our families have already shared with me they'd be more than happy to talk with potential families of Emerald about their experiences. And I think that's the best thing, again, with the whole peer-to-peer model. Nobody's going to quite understand the stress or concerns that a parent may have, but for another parent to kind of ease their mind or share their experiences at Emerald, I think can be extremely helpful. So feel free to ask for that and reach out and say, I'd really like to talk to a parent of Emerald. They'd be more than happy to share that with you. And I'd like to say for sure that in wherever we share this video, we are going to include our contact information. We are here for the community. We're not just here for just our families at Emerald. We want you to know we're here to help you navigate through this process, as it can be one of the hardest things to possibly face. I want to leave you with, just to let you know you're not alone. I want you to know that Emerald is here for you. Our recovery community here in the Carolinas is absolutely amazing. Lean on that recovery community. Truthfully, they're here for you, and then they become family. They don't just disappear after, a few months of help and support. They'll check in on you, and they are my family. They are truly where I belong. And so super grateful. And remember that the process, it sometimes can be taxing, but truly focus on the process and the journey, not the destination. Reach out. My name is Mary Ferreri. You can email me at maryf@emeraldschool.org. Check out our website, emeraldschool.org, and us on social media. Thank you, and we'll be doing these videos again soon. Take care.